Is there still time to invest in Pokemon? That's what we're going to talk about today. Hey guys and girls, Poketin King here, back with another video. Today we are going to be talking about collecting and investing in Pokemon. Is it too late? What are the kind of things that I look out for myself when I'm collecting or investing in Pokemon? Whether it's sealed or graded or just singles. We're going to go through that today. So I've been collecting now for around 21 years Pokemon. I collected consistently over the years when it changed hands from Wizard of the Coast to Pokemon making it themselves. During the EX era, I was still collecting. There's sets that I've missed over the course of the years, but I've never missed generations. I was always like collecting. And one of the things that I've seen time and time again is that sealed Pokemon booster boxes, the return of investment is the best versus any other card game. It's just there. Final Trade has done a video on it before. I would recommend checking his channel out. His stuff is really good. He compared 10 years of Pokemon versus 10 years of Magic the Gathering sealed, and I think every single Pokemon set, bar one, outperformed all the Magic sets in terms of like what their price is now, return of investment percentage versus Magic sets. So, but if you're watching this video, you probably know that. Let's be honest here. Sealed Pokemon is king. It always has. It always will be in terms of Pokemon items. Graded cards, obviously, you can have really good potential returns on that. But whether you're grading it yourself or buying the graded, there's a lot more volatility than there is with sealed. So, Temporal Forces is the most recent release of Pokemon. I think this is a really strong set. I think the cards inside are really good. Definitely recommend checking out, Googling, just go on Poke Beach or whatever. Have a look at the cards in there. The box art is really nice itself, actually. One of the best that we've had in a while. They've brought back A-Specs. But the main key point is that this is the 5th main set now. And this set is actually short printed compared to other Pokemon sets. So Pokemon generally will release 3 to 4 sets, kind of gauge what the demand is. And the demand for modern Pokemon right now is a little bit less than it was, Sword and Shield era. So it might be comparable to early Sword and Shield era. So this set, I've heard it's around 20% less. As of filming this, distributors in the UK are actually out of stock, which I haven't seen in a very long time to be out of stock on Pokemon. Usually they can't shift it, and there's just tons of product left. But this isn't the case with this. Obviously, there will be more restocks. We know that that's going to happen. But they don't work a wave system anymore like they used to. So there will be more product available, obviously. We know that. It's not one and done. That's not how Pokemon do things. We know Pokemon reprint. Pokemon like to make money, and they know they can make money. And that is another something that I'm going to talk about in the, in the rest of the video here. But Temporal Forces, I think, is a very strong set. We've started to see Fusion Strike start to climb. I don't have an English box of Fusion Strike on hand. I have it in storage. All I've got is a Japanese box, which is Fusion Arts, with a Mew on front. The Japanese actually is a nicer box, with the, Big Ben on there. But the English Fusion Strike has started to climb. I think $220 last time I checked on TCG Player. Lost Origins are starting to climb now. That's about $200 as well. Obviously, Evolving Skies had another boom. I'm not sure why it had another boom, but it did. So those 3 sets are starting to climb again. Now, I spoke about Fusion Strike many times before on the channel. I said it was a really good set. Obviously, we got the Gengar, we got the Espeon, we got the Mews. That is, that's a concoction for a really good set. Lost Origins obviously has the Giratina alt art, which everyone was chasing and going mental for. Likewise, Silver Tempest has the Lugia. Now, although they've dropped since their highs by quite a lot, I think the PSA 10 for the Giratina and Lugia now are sub £250. But they're still beautiful cards. They're still in demand. They're very liquid as well. I see multiple copies. The sell-through rate of these cards is quite common. Like, you see that all the time. The same as things like Moonbryon. It's an in-demand card. They're changing hands all the time. New characters come in. People are like, you know what? Good opportunity to pick these cards up. Sword and Shield era, especially that late era, was really good. Chilling Reign started to climb as well. That was a set, Chilling Pain, a set that people disliked for so long because it was extremely hard pull rates. Same as Fusion Strike. Obviously, I know we had the Fusion Strike scandal where, thousands of the old arts were found in boxes. Someone had taken them from a factory or whatever. And I did talk about that on the podcast. I actually think that obviously did hurt the set, but I think that was a good reason to pick it up, and I did mention this before. Now, Temporal Forces, that also has harsh pull rates. The top cards in that set are extremely hard to pull. You aren't always guaranteed a hit per box now, whereas it always has been for a while. Obviously, Chilling Reign and Fusion Strike, we know that we could get boxes. Same as most of the Sword and Shield stuff. You could get a box where you didn't get a hit, and it was kind of sad. But that's just the way it is. I think the illustration rares, the pull rates have changed slightly. I think it's 1 in 10 or 12 now, rather than 1 in 8. So it used to be about 4 per box. So things have changed a little bit of that. But with English, in terms of English, we've still got sets like Brilliant Stars there at retail. Again, there's loads of good cards in the Brilliant Stars set. You've got the Birds, you've got Charizard, obviously. But it isn't just a Charizard set. There's a lot of Sword and Shield sets that I think, you've got Astral Radiance with the Dialga and Palkia, the different forms of those. Obviously, Silver Tempest, as I said. Not only do you have the Lugia, but you have the Alolan Vulpix and Ninetales, which are fan favourite cards. Sword and Shield is a strange era because that was the era that we lived through the boom, right? So Rebel Clash came out during the pandemic. I remember it was the first pre-release where you could get pre-release kits sent to your house because you couldn't do the pre-releases. So I picked up some for those. And then Darkness Ablaze was the main set that got affected. Obviously, Darkness Ablaze had a massive reprint. The same as Vivid Voltage, which is the set that followed. And then, of course, we have Battle Styles, which is the introduction for the illustration rares, where we also had Chilling Reign straight after that. Honestly, Sword and Shield is such a good era, and there's so much potential. There's so much opportunity there to pick things up. So if Fusion Strike is starting to rise right now, if Lost Origin is starting to rise right now, you have an option here. If you don't already have a box, perhaps get a box now. But if you're looking at buying multiple because you want to invest, then I think a set like Silver Tempest or Brilliant Stars or Astral Radiance might be a better choice because the prices haven't started to go up yet. It's all about cost, of the product versus what your, return on investment is going to be. So if you're looking if you're spending $200 on a box and, say for instance, you sell it at $300, obviously, take away the fees and stuff like that because you've got fees, you've got shipping. Obviously, whether you sell it on eBay or whether you sell it on like TCG Player or Card Market or, whatever it is, there's going to be fees involved. But I've always been someone that enjoys buying multiple. So say, for instance, I buy a box for 100, I sell it for 200, double my money, then I can buy 2 boxes for 100, sell it, and basically you keep rinse and repeat. And that's what I've done for most of the times I've been collecting. I'll always buy a spare box. If I wanted to keep a box in my collection for myself, I would sell the double when it got to a price that I was happy with. Usually it's a ×2 or ×2.5. Obviously, you need an exit strategy when you're investing and collecting, because I use the terms investing and collecting alongside each other because some people don't like the term investing. Some people go, right, investing is completely different to collecting. For the most part, it is, but whether you're a collector and investor, you don't want your assets to lose money. Let's be honest. You do not want stuff to depreciate in value. Your intention might not be to make money from it, but at the same time, you're hoping that it doesn't go down. So they can be very similar. But my method was always that. Over years and years, I did the same thing, and it always had worked for me. When I got to a price that I was happy and comfortable selling at, that's when I would sell, and then I go, right, what's the next opportunity? What else can I do it? And eventually, that's how you accumulate over time. They speculate to accumulate. That's the way it works. Thankfully, with Pokemon, things always perform. It's just the time. The time scale is very different. Obviously, Evolving Skies came out in August 2021. We know that it hasn't even been 3 years yet, and that is already, ×6, 7 retail. But we know the sets like Battle Styles that came out before Evolving Skies, that's still retail. So you can't always know which one it is. If you're buying everyone, if you buy a box or two of every set, then you're going to be laughing because you're hedging your bets there. Your chances are becoming better. So sets like Evolving Skies, maybe you're thinking, do you know what? If Fusion Strike hits $250 a box, I'm going to sell. I bought them in a sale for $80, $90 or whatever. Remember, in America, there's so many amazing deals that you see compared to like the UK, for instance. I think that we have had like Paldea Evolved, Scarlet Violet base, and Obsidian Flames down to like £90 a box, £85 a box. But for the most part, we don't get those steals where you get like ETBs for like $20 or whatever. I've seen some mad stuff in America. It is a little bit different over here. But Pokemon is liquid for the most part in terms of sealed. So I think there's so many options there. I think the late Sword and Shield sets that haven't gone up yet, they will go up. It's just a matter of time. I think a lot of things like Fusion Strike and Lost Origins, they will continue to climb. They're going to hit a point where people just stop buying as much now because the people that wanted to buy have accumulated enough. They start looking at something else. Right, okay, I've got X amount of boxes of these sets. I'm going to now move on to the next set. And then you might see another bit of a dip because people go, do you know what? This box has gone up this price. I'm going to start sell it. As I said, everyone has a different price that they're willing to sell at. So some people's might be $40, $50 profit. Some might be $25 profit. You never know. But we know with the economy the way it is as well, people are less likely to hold long term. So when they say that I'm buying long term, that long term for them could be just 12 months. When realistically 5 to 10 years for the most part is long term. And obviously beyond that is, even longer term. But a lot of these assets were held for those period of times. And that's generally when you get your best return. So I'm going to move on to Japanese now because quite interesting news that we've had is 151 Japanese is getting a reprint. The same as Ruler of the Black Flame. I don't have any 151 on hand. It's in storage. Ruler of the Black Flame is behind me on the shelf. So Ruler of the Black Flame, does it need a reprint? I don't know, honestly. I feel like it's still roughly around retail. But the big news is 151. I think the last reprint we had, the last printing we had was about a year ago now. But that was like the last big reprint as such. Or it might be about 9 months ago. And this is going to be readily available from May and June onwards. Readily available across Japan. This isn't just going to be at Pokemon centers. This will be at convenience stores, at card stores, electrical stores, places like the, I can't remember what it's called, Book Off. And then like the camera shops as well. I can't remember the name. I've been to them, but for some reason I blanked. Those kind of shops will have 151. Do I know what the restrictions are going to be? No, we don't obviously understand that. We don't know how big the print run is going to be. I've heard it's going to be quite substantial, but until I have solid information, this is just from, stores and people over in Japan. Until we have solid information, I don't feel comfortable saying that it's definitely going to be a giant reprint. But Pokemon like to make money and they like reprinting. So this was going to happen. We knew it was going to happen. Let's be honest here. Like this, Pokemon did the same thing with every other set. They always reprint. The boxes hit about 170, 180 pound here. I know they've dropped below $100 now. In equivalent in yen in Japan. There's a little graph that I'm going to put up above here or something, and you can see the price just go down. As soon as the announcement came, it just crashed. Most likely what's going to happen here is we've got a crash now. Give it about a week and it's going to start climbing again, and then until May, and then perhaps the week before we get the reprint, it will drop back down again, and then it will probably stay roughly at the same place for a little while until the market decides how big this reprint is, until people have kind of, if you go into a store and they're like, there's no restrictions, you can buy as many boxes as you want, and it doesn't sell out within the first week, then we know, okay, actually, this is probably a big print run. That's when the market will start to decide, okay, are we going to stay here or are we going to continue going up? I don't think it will ever drop below whatever. Obviously, retail is what? I think for holiday sets is 5,500 yen or something. Or 5,800 yen or something like that. I remember when retail was 3,000 yen for Pokemon sets. So I think it's around 30 to 35 pound a box. which is great if you can get those for that price. At the moment, you can't. We're not there yet. I think the people are going to be scared. I've already started to see people selling cases on Instagram and stuff for 1,800, 1,800 a box, a case even. Sorry. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with this set. Honestly, I think the reprint's a good choice. I think it's a good idea. I would like to pick up more 151. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of news right now, and there's going to be a lot of people saying varying degrees of things, where there's going to be people that have big positions that are going to be playing down the reprint, and there's going to be people with no positions that are going to say, oh yeah, this reprint's going to be massive, like box is going to be retail for the next year. We don't know what's going to happen 100%. All we can do is, on the information that we have available, we know the EV Hero set, when they reprinted that before, it did dip, and then it just skyrocketed again afterwards. Now, 2024 is a very different place for Pokemon now, where Pokemon boxes sit at retail. You can get the last 4 sets, I think, on the Pokemon Center, as well as the newest shiny set. So they are limited to, I think, 1 or 2 boxes per person. So there is still a limit in place. But from what I've seen, the most recent set, is it the Blood Moon Rising or something? That set's been plentiful. That is just sitting at retail in Japan. Stores are like, there's no restrictions on this set because the demand isn't there and the supply is good. So it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, 151 is a different dog. It's a very, very good set. One of the strongest sets we've ever had in Pokemon history. That Kanto nostalgia really sells. Obviously, the Master Ball rarity was such a good idea, honestly. It's so smart. It's a shame we didn't get it in English. But I'm interested to see what kind of happens with that going forward. What I will say is, I'm always there if you've got a question, whether it's on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Discord. If you're not sure, a lot of people have an idea, they have a budget, and they're like, you know what, I'm thinking about getting into Pokemon. I don't have too much idea or information. I would suggest, drop me a message. I can kind of help you out. Obviously, I have to say that there's, this isn't financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. But all I can say is my track record is pretty much what I can go by. So, it's a case of just that, really. I try to keep an eye on the market as much as I can, especially with Pokemon. Flesh and Blood of Pokemon are kind of the main two, and One Piece as well. But I kind of want to make this little video just to kind of go through what's been happening. Sword and Shield stuff has been going a little mental, but, just there is plenty of time to pick the things up that you want to pick up. There's enough opportunity. The great thing about it is there's so many products now that are sitting at close to retail or at retail that all of it can't go up at the same time, right? So people are picking and choosing, but money's tight for a lot of people. People are being a little bit picky with what they pick up. So they might not be going for a whole box of Temporal Forces now. They might just pick up a triple blister or a bundle, or just a couple of packs. So people might also be collecting, graded cards, for instance. Graded cards is something I think that boomed. It's had its peak time for now. It will peak again at some point, but I'm a little bit more conservative with Pokemon graded cards. Like this is one I picked up recently from Fusion Strike. This is the Alt VMAX Mew. I also picked up the normal Alt one, which is here somewhere. Just because I love the set. I think Fusion Strike's probably one of the best sets we've had for ages. I love Mew as well. So I want to pick up all the cards from that set. The alts that they've hit a price now where, they're sort of, a lot of these PSA 10s are like 80 to £100. So it's a good time to be picking those up. They seem to be at the bottom of what they have been. Could they drop more? Yeah, they could be. But with box prices starting to go up, people will figure that, hang on a second, if this is this price and you're not guaranteed this in a box, X amount of packs is to pull this or whatever. Remember, Fusion Strike pull rates are really harsh. So what are the chances of pulling that Mew? But if the Mew in a PSA 10 is cheaper than a box, who knows, really. Modern English as well doesn't always grade well. A lot of it is 9s. A lot of it is just a little bit of luck, honestly. But honestly, yeah, I think, if you've got money and you're not sure, I think take your time. Don't rush into things. I think just study the market, look into it a little bit. Look at TCG Player is great because it has the graph. It also, you can see the individual sales. You can see the volume of sales. You know, one person might have bought 6 boxes. One person bought 1 box. Okay, all these prices are starting to go up. The same as, you know, obviously singles and graded cards as well. But Japanese, great opportunity to buy. Boxes are at retail. English as well. If the boxes are at retail or below retail, it's a no-brainer. Paldea Evolved at £85 a box. It's not going to be £85 a box forever. It's going to get there. It might take time. Again, I don't know the print runs of these. I don't think Scarlet Violet is printed any more than Sword and Shield. I think the demand has just dropped a little bit. Obviously, again, the start of an era is always a lot different than the end of an era when it gets stronger. But the Scarlet Violet era, I think the start of it has been stronger than a lot of starts. So I'm intrigued to see what we get later on in the era. But as always, you know, thank you all for watching. Please comment, like, and subscribe. I've set up YouTube memberships now, so you can check that out. My eBay affiliate link is in the description below, as well as my website and all that stuff. And have a great day.